pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dan Meyers. Dan is the Acronis Chief Human Resources Officer and leader of strategic people initiatives, in which he focuses on making the entire employee experience a positive and rewarding one. And with that, Dan, would you like to come on?
All right, so the only thing still, the only thing standing between me, or you, I should say, and Magic Johnson is this next 25 minutes. So I'm supposed to tell you how to build winning teams in 25 minutes. I'm good, I'm not that good. But I do want to do it in the form of storytelling, because I think it's probably one of the, who's got the clicker? Jerry. Somebody steal the clicker? Oh, thank you. Because it's probably one of the greatest stories of team building that there is. And before I even start, one of the things I always try not to do is to do sports analogies or things that cross culturally or different nationalities, etc. I'm going to break those rules right now as part of this presentation, so you're going to have to forgive me because it's a great story. How many of you know what this is right here? Anybody know what this picture is? Tell me. 1980 Olympics. The U.S. Olympic team, 1980. Probably one of the greatest Olympic stories of winning that there's been in, I'll say, the last 100 years. Why? This was a team that beat the Soviet Union team that had won 8 out of the previous 9 Olympics. They hadn't lost a game since 1968. They had just beaten a team of NHL All-Stars, best hockey players supposedly in the world, destroyed them, okay? In this group of amateurs, because that's what they were all college students, came in and did the unthinkable. Everyone has probably heard that. You've either seen the movie Miracle, or you've heard Al Michaels as he does the call, "Do you believe in miracles?" And it truly was. And why do I use this story? I'll get to this in a minute, but when I did this presentation before, it's a little bit different. I did it for our product and engineering teams. And it was, how do you build winning teams? But it's also, how do you build stickiness at work? Right? How do you keep people from leaving? You've heard about the battle for talent and everything else. This ties into it, okay? So what it came down to, I'm going to go to the next slide, is this group of players, 20 players from all across the U.S., okay? And a lot of people don't think of the U.S. as being a diverse country, if you will. But in fact, it is. And as someone who actually played sport, and when this team won the U.S. Olympics, I was 14 years old. You can do the math. Yes, I'm old. I was playing for the junior Team USA hockey club in the Northeast. And so I followed this with a passion, okay? But these kids, because that's what they were, okay, came from 6 different colleges and universities, all right? They all didn't come from the same hometowns. They all came from different areas. They were the youngest hockey team in Olympic history at that time. And they were playing a Soviet team that had players like Tretiak, Vasilev, Mikhailov. I mean, unbelievable hockey players. And I was a goalie. So Tretiak was like, oh my God, this guy is unbelievable. If you ever saw him play. And I even thought, there's no way the U.S. is going to win. You can't beat this team. They destroyed the best professionals in the world. Okay? You can see that they were picked to come in 6th place. That's if they were lucky. The U.S. Olympic Committee didn't want them to be embarrassed. And their idea of embarrassment was 4 years prior, they lost to the Czechoslovakian B team. All right, they were really concerned about this. And picking Herb Brooks as a coach was a big risk. Okay? They only trained for 11 months. That was the longest any U.S. Olympic team had ever trained, by the way. Okay? And the outcome was they won the gold medal. But how did they do it? Okay, so there's 2 pivotal things that occurred during their journey. And it all goes to building a winning team. I'm going to show you a clip here in a second. Now, I will say, this method by Herb Brooks, you should not do with your people. However, I'll explain the rationale behind it. So I'm going to let this play.
Get a whistle. Shoot, this is not the game. One with man or USA head. Hold up. Gotta get back on the ice. Let's go.
What for?
We'll find out soon enough. Let's go back on the ice. Come on, boys.
What for?
We'll find out in a minute, won't we? Let's go. Come on.
Come on, guys. Let's go see what we want. Take a picture or something? What's going on?
You guys don't want to work during the game? No problem. We'll work now. Go on. That one. Think you can win on talent alone? Gentlemen, you don't have enough talent to win on talent alone. Again. You better think about something else, each and every one of you. When you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head. Again. Everybody get on that line. Hey. Again. Again.
Herb.
Come on, Craig, blow the whistle. Again.
Michael Ruzioni! Winthrop, Massachusetts!
Who do you play for?
Play for the United States of America!
That's all, gentlemen.
So the question becomes, why was this so pivotal and why did I choose this clip? So you can see a bunch of guys skating up and down the ice, getting drained after they just lost a game, an exhibition game to Norway, a team that shouldn't even have been on the ice with them. What Coach did and what his philosophy was that the U.S. Olympic Committee actually did not want him to do was he had a belief that the best skaters in the world, in this case the Russians, could be beaten because they played for themselves. They didn't play for each other. This U.S. Olympic team, I talked about they were from different colleges and universities. During the first month of practice, they had, I think it was 10 fights that occurred on the ice. None of the players hung out with each other because some went to Boston University, some went to the University of Wisconsin, some went to Minnesota Duluth. They all came from these different schools, and they didn't come together as a team. Okay? And Herb's philosophy, Coach Brooks' philosophy, was very simple. Chemistry, believability in each other will beat superstars every day of the week. And he was right. As a coach, as a leader, what he did was, unlike everybody around them, he didn't tell people, oh, it's going to be tough to beat them. You got to work harder. They're a tough team. We're never going to, if you play like this, we're going to lose to them. He never did that. Every time he talked to his team, he said, they're beatable. Look, they don't celebrate goals like they used to. They don't hit like they used to. When they don't congratulate each other like they used to. Someone gets hit, a check along the boards, their teammates didn't come to defend them. He saw a weakness in the Soviet team that no other club decided to exploit or to use it as their advantage. And he did this. Okay, and how did he do this as a leader? Well, the other reason I show you this clip is Mike Eruzione, who was the player who, at the end there, I actually know Mike. I've played hockey with him many times. Grew up about 20 miles from me. He was not the best player on that team. He was lucky to make the Olympic team, and he'll tell you that. But he was the captain of the team. Why? He was the glue. He was the one that said, hey, you're from Minnesota Duluth, I'm from Boston University, let's go out and have a beer together. Let's have dinner together. He's the one that made people from different cultures, even though one big country, come together and see each other as people. These players, the 20 players that were on this team, became best friends. Every year they still have a reunion, for those that are still with us. When several of the players later on in life had some issues, substance abuse issues, they rallied around those players. Those relationships that are formed are bonds that can never be broken. And you think about your own workplace. I mean, I think about Acronis. We have people that have been with us for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Why? It's the relationships that they have. It's how people work together, support each other. I'm not sure if anybody in this room actually knows the story of Acronis over the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, we have grown by over 75%. When I came to Acronis in September of 2020, we had 1,200 employees. Today, we have over 2,200 globally. We were in about 28 countries when I came here. We actually have employees in 65 countries today. We are culturally diverse, much like this team was. Our organizations now support each other better than they did before. They see what's in front of them. All of you, our customers, the partners. Okay? We know what success looks like. We know why we're doing this. Now, are we perfect? No, of course not. All right? But we're far better than we were 2 years ago. And much like this US team, we've followed some really basic premises of what builds a great team, or what's a recipe for success. Obviously, leadership. Okay, leadership is not just your CEO. It's not you as an owner. Leadership is everybody you hire. Okay, you don't need a title to be a leader. You should empower your people. Allow them to make decisions. Make them feel as though they are as much of an owner or part of the process as you are. Okay? Herb actually did that. He leveraged Mike Eruzione, not the best player on the team. But he was the one that people looked to. He was the one that when a fight broke out in a bar that they were at, he was the first one to jump in and pull the kid out. He was getting harassed because they said, oh, you're going to get your rear ends kicked by the Soviets. Okay? That's what leadership is. It's someone who steps up when they're not required to, because they're committed to what they're doing. Mission. The mission was clear in this case. Everybody knew what we were playing, what the U.S. was playing for at that time. Okay? To beat a team that everybody said could not be beaten. They knew how they were going to do there. They knew the strategy to do it. He drove it into their hockey heads every day. Okay? But he also pumped them up in the process. He was a tough coach, by the way. He was really, really tough. But he had a heart of gold. And all of the players respected that in him. He put a believability into them. Okay? Trust. I've covered trust already. You can read between the lines on this story and understand why trust is important. Communication. If you've never seen We don't use them in the corporate world as much, but that pre-game speech, okay? You can take snippets of that and bring it into your own workplace. One of my favorite employees, Ashley Taylor here, was speaking today early in the Women in Tech panel, and it was just 2 minutes, and I reminded her about how great she was and how awesome she was going to be. That's all it was. Okay, she had to do an interview earlier, and it was like, you got this. You got it covered. It makes her feel empowered. Makes my entire team feel empowered. I have a great team globally. They don't have to come to me for everything. I trust them. They trust me. They come to me with a problem. I'm going to help them find a solution. Okay? And that's what it's about. Trust is a two-way street. It's not a one-way. Okay? Communication, same thing. How you communicate over and over and over again. Make sure everybody understands what the mission is. What's the strategy to get there? How are you going to win X, Y, Z customers? Do you share your best use cases with your teams? Just because you picked up 5 new customers, did you share how you won them? Does everybody on your team know? What was the pivotal point for you to take over that business? Okay? It's not just as a CEO or just as an account manager, or depending on the size of your organization. Some of you may have 5 people, some of you may have 35 people. Okay? The more you share, the more you communicate, the more people feel involved. The more they're involved, the more they feel they are a part of something and not a piece of something. And there is a big difference there. Okay? And then obviously diversity. All right? Cultural diversity in this case was quite large. Okay? Different views of how they played the game, how it should be played. Different views and values of how they grew up. But diversity in the workplace is critical. Now, if I ask a question, how many of you hire the best and the brightest every time you hire somebody? Everybody raises their hand, they go, yep, well, we only want to hire the best and the brightest. How many of you overhire? Right? You really need a 2 to 3 year person, but this 10-year guy or gal is ready to come work for me. I got to hire them. That's a mistake too. You need folks that can do some of the lower level work. You need folks that can focus on some of the higher level work. You need that balance in between. You need different points of view, people from different industries, different segments. Years ago, I think I told Ashley this story once. About 25 years ago, I got a call. There was a biotech company, big pharma company that was hiring. They were looking for a director of HR. And I'm like, all right, I'll go talk to them. Why not? Never worked in pharma. And I sat there in an interview with a CHRO. At the time, she was called the Senior Vice President of HR. And as she looked down on me with her glasses pointed down, she said to me, Dan, we have some very, very smart people here. PhDs, doctorates, people with scientific patents. How are you going to communicate with them? I kind of tilted my head like a dog when it hears a strange noise. I politely told her I would talk really slowly like I'm speaking to you so that they can understand me. And I got up and I left the interview, and I never worked in pharma again because there was a snobbery there that I just couldn't get by. And for those of you who don't believe I would do that, you talk to people that work with me and for me, they'll tell you that I would. Because you have to have that balance. The last thing you want are 10 U's, or 15 Freds, or 20 Sallys. You want people that are different. They bring something different to your organization. That's what building a team is about. It's the right person for the right role. And if you're not sure what the right role is, don't hire somebody. Because you're setting them and you up for failure. Hire the people that you know the chemistry is going to work. How many of you have had one bad person on a team before? Just that one bad person, right? What does it do to your team? Exactly. You can't, hiring mistake is the worst thing that can happen. We all make them. Present company included. I've made them. Because you get blinders on. oh, they've got 8 years of doing this and 5 years of doing this, and they work there. You quickly learn you never want to hire people from there, number one, or people who did that, whatever that may be. You learn the hard way, okay? But in terms of leadership and building teams, it does come down to your leadership style, and not just that, making sure the people that you hold nearest and dearest do their part as a leader. It does come down to the mission. Make sure everybody understands, here's what we're trying to do. Every day, remind them who your customers are, right? You want team members, not individual contributors. The quote there is absolutely perfect by Coach. They play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey. Because when you get the folks that are more concerned about what does it mean for me, you no longer have a we. You have an us, them, a they, a me, and I. It's no way for a team to be successful. Okay? Now, the other point of this presentation when I did this with our team was talking about friendships in the workplace. Professional friendships in the workplace, let me be clear. And how you should encourage them. And why they matter. They matter because of stickiness. And I got a bunch of statistics up here that you can all take a look at. Happy to speak to them afterwards because I don't want to keep you from Irvin Magic Johnson and getting a coffee beforehand. But when people work, or when you have coworkers at work that you consider a friend, you are less likely to leave. When problems come up, you can have an honest conversation with a friend that says, hey, the way we're doing this isn't working. Here's the issue I see. We got to talk about this. We got to fix it. Versus we have no relationship. We have no trust. We haven't gone out and had a beer together. And I don't know if I can tell you that you're being a jerk. Because you're afraid to do that. You don't want to damage the relationship. So you should encourage those social events that occur. You know, it's one of the things at Acronis we've actually gotten, it was really tough during the pandemic. But we have done a really good job over the last, I'm going to say 18 months, of creating those opportunities in our places of work for our employees to just connect on a personal level. There is something to be said for a heartfelt thank you. I appreciate you. Let's take a moment and not talk about work. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your dog. If you want to talk about your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend, your ex-husband, whatever, go right ahead. You know, real people coming together can create magical things. And that's what that 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team did. So that's my best advice for you in 25 minutes. I think I was actually just a little under, I hope. Sherry, how'd I do? Am I all right?
You're good.
I'll take any questions real quick, and then I'll let you all go. Anything? All right, we have a great Acronis team. Make sure you leverage them every time, every chance you can. We're more than happy to help all of our customers and partners exceed and excel as best we can. And before you all go, I do want to remind you about, the Acronis Cyber Foundation. There is a silent auction is still happening tonight, Sherry, if I remember correctly. It is a great cause. All of our employees participate in it. Actually, fun little note. During the holiday season, because we have so many different cultures, we don't celebrate one holiday, but we do a holiday celebration. Last year, we gave our employees a choice. You can get this fancy Acronis blue sweatshirt, you can get a backpack, or you can donate, I think it was $50 or $35. The company would make a donation to the Cyber Foundation. Over 60% of our employees donated to the Cyber Foundation. Because they believe in the work that we do and what the foundation does. It is truly, truly heart-touching what the foundation can accomplish. You've seen some of the videos earlier. When you see the pictures and you talk to the people that have been on these trips and some of our partners that have helped sponsor them, it is truly life-changing. We are making a difference for underprivileged kids all around the world. So if you can participate in silent auction, please do so. And that's it for me. Go enjoy the night. Safe travels no matter where you may be going. And we appreciate you being a customer and a partner to Acronis. Thank you.